There we are. Okay, let me get my live to come up on the desktop that's in front of me. It always takes a few moments. Let me mute my volume. Go to my chat button. Everybody hit live chat if you're coming in on the replay. Of course, you have to wait 24 hours to see the chat if you are coming in on the replay. Let me just set something, some random number here. Hey, Susan K. You're the first one. I'm just setting up the chat on my desktop. And hopefully it won't erase like it usually does. Hey, Kathy. Kathy X50, Jane Rice, Mostly Dolls Helicopters. One of our Canadian friends, Tea Time 9923. Welcome in. Pauline, hey, you finally made the live. I saw you yesterday. You came in towards the end. Hope you watched the replay. I'm gonna kind of try to keep this short. I didn't even charge my phone, so it's a little low. I do not have the charger in front of me right now. It's just too many wires that I can trip over. How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm just gonna get right into this. You did watch the replay. Thank you. Hey, Train 17. I'm seeing some new faces in here. Thank you for coming in. Kathy Doherty. There's Kathy number 2 in here. Not in any specific order, but Kathy X50 and Kathy Doherty. Your mom's name was Pauline. Oh, cool. Hey, Kelsa's one of my pips. First pip of the day. Another woman found unalive near Nancy's home. Suspect or SA suspect still at large. Oh, wow. I got to research that. I've been so busy with the Eagles, you know. Let's see. You know, Reinforce Steve, I'm going to have to put you in a 24-hour timeout. Come see me tomorrow. I found you a few days ago watching for Jackie. Haven't seen Shadow or the babies for a few days now. Yeah, I know Shadow was sitting in the roost tree. Was it yesterday or the day before with one of the female subadult eagles that might have taken Jackie down? But I have not seen the babies either. But that, you know, at some point they are going to fledge, like permanently fledge. I don't know who that is. Hello. Yeah, I saw Shadow yesterday. I did check the cams this morning and I didn't see anybody. But then I had to just get up and start my day. So I'll turn on the cams later tonight. Like right now, got the Dodger game on in the background. And let's see. Yeah, but this today we're going to talk about Nancy Guthrie. So let me just get it started here. I'm April Davis PI, and I'm a licensed private investigator in Los Angeles, California. It's July 25th, 2026, and sadly we're at day number 175. And you know, there's not any really new information to report today about Nancy, but there was this interview that was done by this Brianna Whitney. She's no longer a local newscaster in Tucson. She's got her podcast now. I think it's called Crime Junkie, something like that. I haven't seen it yet. But she did go over like the first ransom note, or most of it, not word for word like the press has been reporting. And we talked about that like a couple days ago. If you saw my last Nancy Guthrie video, I know we kind of got sidetracked with, you know, Jackie and Shadow, which, by the way, I'm still reporting on that story too. But, you know, I already read the ransom note. I can read it again here if anybody didn't hear that. However, there's something that just stood out to me, and I didn't say anything in that last video. And then I saw a clip. I didn't see the actual podcast, but I saw a clip from that podcast with Brianna Whitney. And she said something that I was like, yeah, I noticed that too. And then sometimes you just have to step back from the story or step back from the situation, and you have to see it from someone else's perspective. And I was like, Yeah, I thought about that too. Like that struck me, but then I kind of like put it in the back of my mind. And then I heard her talking about it on a clip. I don't even know. It must have been on Facebook or YouTube. It was like a reel or something that popped up somewhere. And I was like, yeah. Like, hey, we're not going to cry right now. Okay, Kelsa, you can jump on my lap. You can jump on my lap. Hopefully she's not going to cry. Good to see you, Cali Girl on Fire. It is such a sad case, Terrain 17. You know, let me just go through this. How come I knew this was going to happen? What? Do you need some more key food? Okay. Kelser's, just give me a moment. I just got to get her some wet food. Here we go. It's right here. I got you. It's right here. There we go. You can have it. There's your key food. Go get it. Yeah, good girl. Good girl. Okay. Crisis avoided here. Oh my gosh. I got her some food. She just had some. Now I'm having a technical issue on my desktop. Hold on. Let me just check it out. Let me fix it. Something's going wonky on my end. Can you guys see and hear me? You know, it's extremely hot here right now. It's horribly hot here right now. Yes, you can see and hear me. Okay. It's weird because I have the video up on the desktop. Maybe it's behind? It's weird. It's like my head is way down here. Is my head in the middle of the screen? Okay. As long as you guys can see me. Your car read 106. Oh my God, that's pretty hot for Kansas. Hot in Arkansas too. Yeah, it's just smoking hot here. So I'm glad you can see me and hear me. Thank you. And sorry for the interruption. Okay, I read this ransom note, the first one, the other day. And I can go over it again. It's not reported word for word, but there was something that stuck out. And maybe I'll just read a couple paragraphs, and then you guys tell me, before I tell you what I'm thinking, does anything stand out to you? That just, well, let me just say it. Whitney read aloud from the note, "Hello, Savannah. We have your mother, Nancy. She is safe but scared. She will be held for ransom, and once payment is received, she will be released unharmed. We will be holding her for a maximum of 7 days." We talked about this before. I had not heard that one before. Whitney said the note went on to demand the millions of dollars stated in U.S. currency and provided 2 deadlines. Sources previously told People magazine it specified 2 separate sums, $4 million in Bitcoin due Thursday, February 5th, and if that was not met, an increased demand to $6 million by Monday, February 9th. Like, we knew that. Once payment is received to the Bitcoin address below, she will be released within 12 hours of deposit to a safe drop-off location back in Tucson. Kind of an indicator that they may have taken her outside of Tucson. If the payment is not received by the last deadline on Monday the 9th at 5 p.m., she will be killed. Your mother is aware of this, and her life is in your hands. It is in the best interest of everyone to have this completed as soon as possible. You will not be able to contact me from here on out. There will be no negotiation. Do not play games. Law enforcement will not be able to help you. At the end of the note, the sender included additional details about Nancy's home. They said she had a white smartwatch that was on the floor near her bed, like at the foot of her bed, and that there was a floodlight in the backyard that had been destroyed. Now, something stuck out to me. I didn't say anything when we talked about this in the last show, but I saw her talking about it maybe in another podcast or later podcast. Let's see. Hey, Sandra, let me just check the chat really quick. Thank you, Sandra. Let's see. It says I and then we. I think the safe drop-off location is back in Tucson is strange. She was taken somewhere else, and the Apple Watch at the end of her bed is very specific. Yes. I thought of something else, though, and I didn't say it. And then, like I said, I just saw this clip. I was probably lying in bed in the middle of the night. I'd never be able to find it again. But when Brianna Whitney brought it up, I was like, yes. When they demanded the $4 million in Bitcoin, did it cross your mind that the person who wrote the note, and we don't know if it's a man or a woman, we just presume it was a man, specified that they wanted that $4 million in Bitcoin in US dollars? Now, I don't know about the rest of you watching me. I know I have people that come in from all over the world, but I live in a very big city, millions of people. There's like 12 million people in LA County. There's over 110 different countries represented in Los Angeles County. There's people from all over the world. I have friends from Japan, Thailand, Canada, other places as well. But when people use the term US dollars, that usually is spoken by a person who has been born or is from or has been raised in another country. That's very specific, Kelsers. You guys know that I had a prior boyfriend from a million years ago. He's since passed away from cancer. He was from Japan. When talking financial things, he would often use the word yen or Japanese yen versus US dollars, or the dollar versus the yen. My Canadian friends, including my family, part of my family became Canadian or lived in Canada too. And they, and they were Americans, but my dad would say, oh, but that's Canadian. My friend Kelsa, she will say something like, oh, but that's Canadian dollars. Even her sister, who I don't know that well, I just, sadly I got to, meet her because of Kelsa's death, but she'll throw out terms like that, like American versus Canadian, or, oh no, that's Canadian dollars. And my Thai family, when I first met them, and if we talked finances, they would say, oh, but that's in baht. Because there's no Thai dollar, there's Thai baht, B-A-H-T. And Thai baht is just like a fraction of a penny compared to a US dollar. It's like Mexican pesos. And Mexicans will say the same thing, no, but that's pesos. Think about it. An American speaking to an American is not going to say, I need 4 million in US dollars. They're just going to say, I'm demanding 4 million in ransom. I need 4 million in Bitcoin. Like, they didn't want the money in cash or in a bank transfer. They wanted it Bitcoin because Bitcoin is presumably harder to trace. Here's my wallet address, my Bitcoin address, which I'm starting to learn about. By the way, if you order a wallet, which I did, it's been a week. I still don't have it yet. It's coming on Monday. Don't do the stupid thing I did. Order it on Amazon, because I could have had it set up last week. Middle of last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, it would have been set up. It would have been done. I'm still waiting. So I'm going to have to deal with that on Monday. And my mail usually doesn't come until later in the day. But, to say I want 4 million in Bitcoin, but specifically US dollars, it may be nothing or it may be a clue. Let's see. Thank you, Kelsa. She says, everybody like and subscribe. Mostly Dolls Helicopters, another one of my pips. But guess we have to time you out for today. Come back and see me tomorrow. Does it need to be specific to US dollars in Bitcoin, or can you Bitcoin anywhere? Yeah, you can Bitcoin anywhere. But like when you buy it off the exchange, or you send it to somebody, you've got to have it in the right currency. And this was very specific. Now, I don't have a Bitcoin wallet yet because, like I said, I didn't order it off of Tangem, or I didn't order it off Amazon. I ordered it off of Tangem, and they're taking forever. And it's only coming from Utah. Something from Utah to California should be here in 2 to 3 days, not like 8 days later. I'm kind of upset about it because not only did I pay too much, but it's crawling. Inexcusable. No, sorry, Tangent, but I'm not going to promote that people buy your wallets from your company directly. I think that's very specific. And I thought of this before, and then I kind of put it out of my mind. Now, remember when this case first started, and once the FBI got involved, and they had their 20 list of suspects that not suspects, but they came up with a list of 20 names that they put on a piece of paper, and they walked into every gun store from Tucson to Phoenix, like, here's a list of 20. And there were a lot of Persian names on that list. I'm not pointing at the Persian community, but they had those names on that list for a reason. Now, that list, as far as taking it into the gun stores and asking questions, that ended up not being fruitful from what law enforcement said. Like, if you listen to Nanos, if you believe anything he says, because, he's always contradicting himself. But there was the list of Persian names. And one of those names is a female. Well, it's just last names, but there is a female with the same last name. But, those names could be common as, like, my name is Davis. There's a million Davises and Jones and Smiths and Washingtons and Jacksons, very common names. But there was somebody that lived in the guest house that was a Persian woman that is connected to certain companies, that is connected to certain other people's names that have popped up. Doesn't mean that there's a connection there at all. But there was a reason that law enforcement was looking into those names, whatever it was. Catherine sent the gold coin and mostly Dell's helicopters. First super chat of the day, Canadian $2. Thank you so much. I will heart that. Everybody give mostly Dell's helicopters a thumbs up on their super chat. Now you tell me, do you think that this is strange? That maybe it is because it was Bitcoin that they specified US dollars. But I just think that that's like I said, my ex-boyfriend, he would always say dollars versus yen or yen versus dollars. And my Thai family, they often talk about baht. And my dad, when he moved to Canada, even before he became a Canadian citizen, because my sister was still living in the country and she was still a minor, and my mom was going back and forth, and there was different money transfers and financial transactions that were going on, and he had to make more money there than he made here because the difference in the dollar, and his taxes were different, and it was a very complicated process. And even my dad, who is an American, would say, oh, but that's Canadian. That's not the same as US. Like, they have a different currency there. It's not dollar for dollar. Every country has their own currency. It's not dollar for dollar. Some countries will use US currency and their own currency. There are many countries, even Asian countries, where, it's like you can use US dollars or you can use that country's currency. But I thought that stood out to me, that the writer of this note specified US dollars. Now, we don't know who wrote that first note or who wrote the second note, but those two notes came from the same IP address. And supposedly, the FBI, who should be experts at this, they've not been able to identify that IP address. And they're like, oh, well, they used a VoIP, like a VoIP line. That means voice over internet protocol. I don't completely understand it, but when I see it in the PI business, it's always like, oh, it's a VoIP number. This one's going to be a pain in the you-know-what to find, to crack, to break, to open, to identify, because it's VoIP. Like, dang. It's not the same thing as a landline or a cell phone. In the old days, we didn't even have cell phones. Everybody just had a landline, and everything was traceable. All emails were traceable. There was no such thing as caller ID or spam calls or spoofing. Now everything is hidden. And that's why Bitcoin is so safe, because everything is on the exchange. But as long as you have it in a hard wallet, you can have a soft wallet that's online, or you can have a hard wallet that's going to be like the size of a credit card. But you better have a backup, because if you lose it, you're going to lose it. But see, I've heard from experts that everything is traceable. I would think if I were that person sending a threat like that, like, hey, you better send me 4 million of Bitcoin, that I don't know enough about Bitcoin. I'm just going to start learning next week when I get my first wallet and set it up. And if it's safe, I'll let everybody know the address. Because if anybody here is into Bitcoin, here will be my address. Like I'm just kidding. But I just thought that was very specific. Now let me go back and read the comments. Okay, I don't even know what that means. I have to time you out, because that's just distracting. When people are writing stuff, it's just all garbled, like a 5150. Me too, all the scam calls. I don't even answer my phone anymore. I'm thinking plain sight from the very beginning, says Callie Girl. Oh, no problem. If somebody's trolling, go ahead and well, just time them out. Don't block them. Just time them out, Kelsers. Give everybody a 24-hour timeout, because I can only see this much of the screen. So if you're on a different device, you might see it before I see it. So you can just time them out. But thank you for your help, because it's going pretty fast today. 47 people. Hey, I've got only 19 thumbs up, but I got 47 people in the room. Can you guys just take a moment to give me a thumbs up? Connie throwing up the little Kelsa Kinsley kitty and the Amelia Kinsley bunny. Thank you, Connie. One of my pips. It's not strange if it's an American fraudster trying to sound international. Oh, good thought, Callie Girl on Fire. Thank you, Mostly Dallas Helicopters, for the jewel. Let me get back to it in just a moment. Let's see. Yeah, just give them a, I just saw that comment. Just give them a timeout if you have to, but thank you, Kelsers. I really appreciate that. Yeah, the U.S. mail is now snail mail terrain, and I could have got it from Amazon, and I could have had it within 48 hours, and I could have already had it set up, and then I could explain some of these questions that you guys are asking, because, I have to learn it too. I know that I'm going to set up the wallet first and get my passcode and my seed phrase. I had to learn what that is. And then I'm going to sign up to an exchange, and I'm going to purchase just a minimal amount, because remember, I am on disability, and my expenses far exceed my disability income, even though my disability income is fairly high because I work so hard in my life. So I will be able to answer those questions more, Kelsers, next week. But my mail on Monday my mailman's off, so they usually use a second mailman who does our route after he does a full route. So my mail may not even come until 5 or 6 at night on Monday, and then I'm gonna have to set up the wallet, set up the exchange, figure out how to transfer the money, and watch a boatload of videos on it so I don't make a mistake. Let's see. I still think the sheriff did it so he could solve a national case on his reality TV show they screwed up and she died. Well, that's an interesting statement. Asago STL. Kelser says, yes, so true, April. U.S. dollars is very specific. Yes, at the end of the bed on the floor. Because, originally it was reported that her Apple Watch, which was white, and she showed it on the Today Show, was found in the charger. And then it was more specific that it was found in the charger in her bedroom, on the nightstand, next to the bed. Then it was, well, no, it was on the floor. And now it's saying that it was at the foot of the bed, on the floor. I do think the safe drop-off location back in Tucson is very telling, that she was taken somewhere else. Catherine B., it says I and then we. I hope I did. Thank you, Catherine B., for the gold coin. Thank you again. Sandra Cosby says Mexico. Anything is possible, Sandra. Mexico money would be pesos. I don't think Mexico. I'm thinking Italy, possibly. Oh, you mean where she was taken? Because they said they would have her back to Tucson within 12 hours. And thank you once again, Kelsers, for helping me out here. And I can go in on the back end later. You know, I've started to block people more when I was just doing 24-hour timeouts. It's really helped out. It's helped cut down on the trolls. Thank you for the thumbs up. Joe Wells, April, you do excellent reporting. I can hardly wait to hear who you suspected from the get-go when the truth comes out. Well, it may be a while before I can talk about that because, you know, just because someone gets arrested doesn't mean that they're guilty, and there'll still have to be a trial, and, you know, all the dominoes will have to fall. Terrain 17, from what we know, she may have had more on the roof. Does anyone know if the front camera was the only one Nancy had? No, she had a camera on the roof. She had at least one on the side of the house and at least one in the back. And there's a possibility she may have had cameras inside the home too, but that has never been specified. Respect importance. Welcome to Pip Silver. Thank you for putting up the little membership tag. Thank you. I know that's not what it's called. I looked it up the other day. Now I can't remember the name of it. What is this called? Anybody know that? If you've been a member for more than 1 month, you can go into the little membership tab and you can use that little tag, or it's like a membership message you can do once a month. So thanks for doing that, Respect Importance. That's awesome. You just renewed. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I can't hand out any more till at least August because they only give me a limited amount to hand out. Let's see. Terrain 17. I was watching Adventures with a Purpose on YouTube, and it made me wonder if they had a stolen car and put her in the trunk and drove it off into the water. I hate to even think such a thing. You know what, Terrain? Believe it or not, when this case first happened, from sort of I'm not a psychic or a medium, but I do have a sixth sense. I was continuously seeing water. I'm not sure why I was seeing that, but then I wasn't seeing it anymore. Hey, Connie LA66, one of my pips, she just sent one April Davis PI gift membership, and let's see who got it. It hasn't popped up on my screen yet. Alaskan Assassin! Oh my God! Welcome in, my friend. Wow, Connie, I don't know how you did that, because he's actually one of my really good friends from the gold community. How you doing, Alaskan Assassin? Please say hi to Mrs. Alaska Assassin. I haven't seen her here in a while. Hey, SR71 girl, welcome in. Didn't see that. I wonder if it recognizes my second month of membership or not. All I know is that you can use the membership like display once a month if you've been a member for 2 months. I'm still learning. How you doing, SR71 girl? Well, congrats, Alaskan Assassin Adventure. You have received a free membership. Please be sure to thank Connie, who's regularly throwing those out. And you don't need to, but let me tell you, that has made a big difference because the super chats have just been going down the toilet. And if you missed it, I was supposed to have my 4,000K party on Friday because it hit Wednesday night, just a few minutes before midnight, and Thursday I had too many other videos to do. So I'm like, okay, we'll have it on Friday, I think. And by Friday, it had already gone up to 5,000. And now, since then, I mean, it's slowed down a lot since then, but it's only Saturday. It's gone up to 56, 53. So we're actually less than 400 subs away from 6K. Like, gosh, if it keeps going, if I have one more video that just pops, like, we could be there. Like, who knew? I didn't even have time to go to the dollar store. And, you know, they took over my 99-cent store. We don't have those anymore, but the dollar store took them over. And they always have, like, one cashier, and there's, like, 50 people in the line. And so I don't go there very much because it's hard for me to stand, like, in that store with my bad back and my cane. But I really need to get there and get me a little party hat and those little, gazoo things that you blow for a party. Do something. Or at least buy a new hat. Do something different. But yeah, because I didn't have time to prepare. I was hoping to have 5K by Halloween. I didn't think I'd have 5K or 4K in July. So, wow. I'm blown away. Dean, welcome in. Good evening, April, chat, and mods. Congratulations on your Jackie videos. You are going strong, nearly 6K. I know. Can you believe it, Dean? I can't believe it. Thank you, Kelsa. She says, everyone hit that like button and subscribe. April and the chat are amazing. Thank you. You too, Kelsers. I shared you on X, if that's okay. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Respect importance. Putting up some of the Halloween emojis. You know what? I did go to my CVS the other day because they kept saying, you better get over here and pick up that prescription or else, and they didn't have like their jack-o'-lanterns and, those Halloween decorations that they put out every year with like their brand on it. But they did have some of the fall, like the plastic leaves or flowers that you put up for Thanksgiving. I did see those on the shelves. And some of the candy shelves that are up near the cash register, that when you stand in the line and they want people to grab stuff, they did have the Reese's peanut butter pumpkins. And I'm like, I knew it as soon as July 4th passed. I knew it. And that's a small CVS. If I went to one of the larger ones, I'm sure the stuff would already be in the holiday aisle. Doug Dillinger, or Dillner. Why do I call you Dillinger? Doug Dillner says, congrats. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, thank you for the party hat. Respect importance. Yeah, I didn't even see it pop up. I just saw the little text. It must have, so quick, I didn't even see it. Yeah, those all add up. So we already read this before. I don't want to go over it again and again and again and just do the same video over again. But I did want to bring up the point about, and I'd like you guys to put it in the chat. Do you think am I making more out of it than I need to? Or do you think that is a clue? Is it a clue, yes or no, that the person that sent this ransom demand, which the FBI had told Savannah that they thought the first two could be credible, could be. Do you think that that's very, is that a clue that they specified US dollars rather than just saying, I want $4 million in Bitcoin, or I want 4 million in Bitcoin. I want 4 million in Bitcoin in US dollars. Is that very specific? Could that be someone who is involved, even if they're just involved in the background? Did the person that write that note, could that be a person that's from another country or is of a different ethnicity? Dean says no. Kathy says yes. Kathy Doherty says yes. Terrain says you have to look at everything. I don't think you're making more out of it. I think it's a very good find. Thank you, Kelsers. I wasn't going to say anything the other day, but then when I saw someone from a different perspective say the same thing, and I know she's not a PI, she's a reporter, but I'm open to all possibilities here. Thank you, respect importance. I pray for food, water, shelter, guidance, and protection for everyone on this beautiful planet. With that said, I'm sorry, but I can't stay long. I hope everyone has a good night. You too. SR71 Girl, who is also a pip now. Yes, could be a clue. It's very too specific. Yes. Um, if they are real, it's possible, but I think they're smarter than that. You know, I've always thought that at least the people, or like the front porch guy, I don't think that person's smart at all. And some people would totally disagree. Like people think that the kidnappers for the Ramseys were the smartest people in the world. But remember, she died. It was meant as a kidnapping, but it was all messed up. And then they had homicide, or not homicide detectives, but narcotic detectives investigating the case. Mostly Dell's helicopter sent the W. Thank you for the W. You know, I don't think these are criminal masterminds. I could be totally wrong. I don't think this is like a professional drug cartel or a professional kidnapper. And I still think, in one way or the other, that it could be the Savannah factor. And it could be the Savannah factor in combination with something else, like somebody close to her. Hello, Steve. Tea time? Oh, that's an interesting emoji. I can't even tell. What is that? Is that like a bird? Let me know. Yeah, sometimes I don't recognize the YouTube emojis versus the custom emojis that are the channel emojis. But yeah, go ahead. Throw out any emojis you can. Every engagement helps. But it's kind of cute, whatever it is. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Oh, it's a penguin. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, we got 50. Oh, we had 50. Now it's 47. 47 people in the room, 34 thumbs up. Can you give me a thumbs up? And, you know, there are a lot more subscribers, but the majority of the people that do watch my videos are not subscribed. It would make a huge difference if you did, because it would show YouTube that people are liking my channel, liking my videos. More than just watching my videos, but they're actually liking my channel. So, gotta hydrate because I went out and did laundry in 90-degree heat with high humidity, which is very unusual for LA. High humidity and high heat at this time of year. July is usually really mild here compared to the rest of the country. But when you guys start to cool off for the holiday weather, it goes crazy here. You know, fires and triple-digit heats and smoke, and it can be like that for months. So if it's already this bad, it's kind of scary. I'd like to be positive, though, and go, well, maybe the heat is just coming early, and then, you know, by August and September, we'll start to cool down. Like, wishful thinking. Same here, just the clothes in the dryer. You know, I hope in my heart the FBI knows and are closing in. I hope so, too. But didn't somebody just say the other day, who was it that we were talking about? Who did we mention? It was in a prior video where they talked to a law enforcement source, and apparently they don't really have anything right now. I guess they're still waiting for the results of that rootless hair strand, which I've never been very confident that that's going to pan out. And they said that could take a year or more, and it may be nothing. Thoughts on the law enforcement won't or can't help you statement. Whose statement that law enforcement won't or can't help? That's the problem. But law enforcement's not really helping, and they're not letting anybody else help either. They're not even looking for Nancy. From the very beginning, they haven't been looking for Nancy. And what's even more strange is that some of her immediate family, who were supposedly her regular caregivers, they're not looking for her either. Kathy says, hope this gets over soon. Me too. But we're already into the 6th month. We're on 175 days. Do you realize in a week we'll be starting the 7th month on this? Cali Girl on Fire says, I feel like they have nothing at this point. The suspect probably has an alibi, especially if everyone thinks A&T did it, in my opinion. I hope that A&T are not involved. That's a very big possibility since we've learned so much about the Pima County Sheriff's Department and its leader. Kelsa says, I just think this was botched on purpose. Sure's beginning to sound like that, isn't it? I'm not saying that that's the case. I mean, these have got to be the dumbest cops in the country if this wasn't intentionally botched. I mean, I've been a detective for 42 years, but I'm not law enforcement, and even I know that you need to secure a crime scene. And considering it involved a famous person's mother, I would have secured that whole entire street. Nobody would have come into that street except the people that live there. That's it. And nobody would have had access to that property, especially not the family. Weren't they dropping gloves on the ground? That's what they were claiming, that some of those black gloves along the roadway might have been left by the sheriff. But then the sheriff later said that that wasn't true. But there were gloves everywhere. And, you know, living in a desert community where there's basically no grass, there's just cacti and dirt and sharp things, a lot of people work with those types of gloves. But those gloves almost look like boxing gloves, or gloves that were on other gloves, like maybe it was multiple layers, but they wouldn't have been able to do anything in the house, because they just wouldn't have been able, I don't think they would have been able to grasp much. I guess it was one of the letters that was recently fully released. Well, they said it was fully released, but it really wasn't, because they just kind of skip over certain parts. Reminds me of Barney Fife's, says Kathy Doherty. Yeah. But this is reality. This isn't television. This is reality, that this has really happened. Sue. Why give these elitists so much attention? Because this is a case that's like popular all over the world, Sue. This is a big case. Yes, there are cases all over the world. But normally not the mothers of multimillionaire TV stars, you know. That's going to put it, you know, on the radar for everyone. Not that the other cases aren't important, but many people come in here and say, hey, will you talk about this or that? And I'll be like, I haven't heard of that case. Everybody's, you know, if I lived in some small little town and talked about some case in some small little town, most of you guys wouldn't even come in, because they'd be like, I don't even know who that is. And other people do get attention, yeah. So if you're poor and not popular, your life doesn't matter. You know what? I didn't say that. You know, I just don't think you're in the right channel, Sue. So come back and see me later. Connie says, in my opinion, the porch guy never went into the house. His role was to help get Nancy to the vehicle. That's very possible, Connie. I hadn't heard about that terrain. Do you know if anything ever became of the wheelchair they found behind a dumpster close to her house? I had not heard that. Now, on some of the enhanced video, it does look like the shadowy figure of a male is carrying someone over their shoulders. But there were tracks that were near the front door. There were some type of tire track in the dirt right off the front steps. But those all got destroyed when, 20 to 30 hours later, they opened up that house, and the whole world, including Brian Inton and his cameraman, like everybody went to that door. The pizza guy, Amazon, the reporters, the boots on the ground, the neighbors, like everybody walked right through that, and none of that was preserved. Dean says, it is my belief that the porch person is a distraction. The second note, I believe, is a cry for help and perhaps a show of denial What happened to Miss Nancy is a tragedy. She deserved to live. Absolutely. Kelsers, not every case gets FBI attention because not every case has the evidence that was found for Nancy Guthrie. Yeah, if it was just a missing person, the FBI wouldn't be involved at all. But once those ransom notes started coming in as early as Monday evening and Tuesday morning, that's when the FBI should have been immediately involved. You don't remember where you saw it. Okay, Terrain. Yeah, I know it's been almost 7 months, right? I can't even remember what I did in some of the older videos. Like, I'll have to look that up. Or which video was that in? Or we've talked about this before. Which video was that? Like, who would throw out a perfectly good wheelchair? Well, people throw all kinds of things out, you know. I found somebody threw out a pot the other day. I'll show it to you. And it's mid-century modern. Let me go get it. And but it was all like tarnished, and it wasn't silver. I suspected it was silver plate. And then I flipped it over and I was like, yeah, that's a very famous silver plate company. But this thing is like from maybe as early as the 50s to the 60s. And it was missing a lid. That was the only kicker, but the glass insert wasn't cracked. I mean, most of the plating is still there. And I was like, this is worth some money. And somebody just threw it out at the dump the other day. Let me get it and I'll show it to you. Be right back. Oops. There we go. Look at this. It's hard to see with the green screen, unless I take the green screen off, and I don't want to because then it would be hard to find it. But look at this. This was just sitting out in the trash in my building. And it's a William Rogers number 27. The handles are still there. The glass insert is there. It's a nice bucket. Needs a lid. But I just cleaned it up and I was like, well, I could put some treasures in this in my living room, you know? Like, I didn't want to just see it go into the dump. Like, people put out all kinds of things. Look at all the YouTubers that just drive around. Look at Taco Stacks. He's got like 1 million subs or something. He just drives around in a beat up piece of crap van and picks up metal off the street. And he goes and he either recycles it at the scrap yard, sells things on eBay, sells things at the flea market or for Facebook Marketplace. And he's got a 2-story house in Pennsylvania, a Jeep Cherokee. Oh, he even bought a new van. He just does it from his views from YouTube, picking up scrap. Now, I couldn't do that because I'm fully disabled, but, you know, I did polish it by hand. But yeah, it is pretty neat, isn't it, Cheryl? Tea Time says that's very nice. It's probably going to be a cold case. I'm beginning to worry about that, Cheryl, unless there's some big thing that they're just waiting for. But as long it's gone this long, I'm starting to think that it is going cold. Lena says she's tired of hearing about Nancy. Well, then go watch something else, Lena, because we're going to talk about it today. But you're welcome to stay, but, you know, this is what we're talking about. You could put ice in it and use your beverages for your show. Yeah, exactly. Hemi Purrs. One of my pips. Got another pip that came in today. That's beautiful. We just saw an ice bucket like that. Do not come with lids. Average price $200 plus. This one, I'd be lucky to get $20, $25 without the lid. And it would be so heavy to ship on eBay that nobody would want to pay the shipping. There's so many of them. So I figure it'll just be more valuable to me. Now, you know, if somebody local wanted it, you know, like Facebook Marketplace pickup, yeah, that would be easier. But it doesn't have the lid. That was the only thing, no lid. Hemi, well, you know what? I took my bone pill yesterday, so today it's one of my crappy days. But put your drink on ice when you do yard work. Yeah, I don't have a yard because I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in a concrete jungle. And the building pays for the landscaping of our small little yard and courtyard. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And it was so it was so ugly. And usually with these old plated ones, the plate wears off. And there's only one little place underneath the handle where a little teeny bit of the plate came off. And there's one little teeny dent on one side, but you can't even see it unless you're looking at it really up close. Like, if this thing is like potentially 70 years old, this thing is probably way older than me. Like, it's in pretty good shape. You know, somebody took good care of it. I just don't know why they didn't include the lid. I agree with that, Doug. Thank you for saying that. Hate to say it, but her family's public notoriety should have automatically triggered the FBI. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a kidnapping for law enforcement to go ringy-dingy-dingy. We need the FBI. So sick of the heat and the humidity. Yeah, me too. And we usually don't have that much humidity in California, but the last couple of days it's been pretty high. Oh, thank you, Hammy. You know, every day's a struggle. But I'm blessed that I found all of you guys. And, you know, the last couple of days, things just went bizarre because my goal was to hit 4K by the end of August and 5K by Halloween. And all of a sudden it just exploded in one day. And before I could even have my 4K party the very next day, it went to 5K. Oh, you're in Los Angeles. Yeah, it is humid, isn't it? For LA this time. I mean, what's going on? We're up to 56. Oh, that's a kind of a neat number. 5656. But you know, the eagle videos, I think one's got like 23,000 views and the other's up to like 31 or 32,000 views. Like, that's crazy. But, you know, that's a big story. You know, people all over the world are vested in that. And they're not going to have an update till at least Monday. Oh, now I'm at 5657. Thank you, whoever just subscribed. Mary Jo Silva, good evening. Where are you coming in from? Very hot and humid here in the east as well. Yeah, it seems like it is hot everywhere, like more than the usual. Tea Time says you're in LA too. Oh, cool. You know, I think I've got more Southern California people that have come in. Some guy has sent me some messages and he's like, hello, this is so-and-so, your neighbor in West Hills. Which compared to the rest of the country is my neighbor, but I'm in the San Fernando Valley. I'm on one end and he's on the opposite end. But, you know, compared to, like, I got people from Israel and Iceland and Europe and Australia coming in. Yeah, he is my neighbor. Yeah, he's probably 20, 25 minutes away. So it's like, I guess a lot of people that were watching, you know, Shadow and Jackie have come in lately. Kelsa says, I think all of America is in a heat dome. Yes. Yeah, Cali Girl on Fire. Oh, yeah, but I haven't seen the babies for 2 days and no record of feedings. I can hear them, though. I heard that today. Someone said that they can hear them flying around the lake. And remember, as they get older, they are going to permanently fledge. And the point of the matter is that you feed them, then you train them. And remember, Shadow's doing everything from the feeding to the training to the helping them learn to hunt fish to guarding the nest against intruders. And, you know, he doesn't have his Queen Jackie to do half of the work. The babies they're really old enough. If they wanted to just permanently, like, fly away and leave the area, they could. So that's not a bad thing, that they may have become more able to self-feed and hunt themselves, which is what we want. We want them to, like, grow up and, you know, take off and go out into the world. But, you know, the sad thing is you know, Shadow. I saw that video. Somebody talked about it in my comments, like, have you seen the video of Shadow and the babies? And they're all in the nest and they're all crying for her. And I'm like, no, I haven't seen it. And then I saw a clip of that. I think it was last night. And it just brought tears to my eyes because they were all like, they weren't crying for food. They were all crying like, where is she? And then one of the sub-adults that might have helped take Jackie down, which is a blessing in disguise because I do think she was sick for a very long time. That might be one of the females that's, you know, in the roostery, just, you know, kind of giving Shadow the eye. Jackie was not getting cozy with another eagle, but now people are freaking out because one of the subadults was seen in a nest, or in the roost tree, not the nest tree, but the roost tree with Shadow. Yep, so sad my heart breaks. I think she was sick too. Yeah. And you know what? Most people, I've been getting messages from all over the world. I know we're talking about Nancy Guthrie today, but I've been getting messages on my chat. I mean, I can't even answer everybody. I'm trying to at least give them a thumbs up and a like. But there's so many messages. It's probably more than 1,000. I can't get to them all. But so many people are appreciative of what I said, even though I'm not bashing Friends of Big Bear Valley. In fact, I just donated to them the other day. I ordered 2 more things, and as soon as I have the funds, I want to still buy those little plushies that say Jackie and Shadow with their little scarves on with their names. I've always wanted those, and I will continue to support FOBBV. But I did happen to mention in one of the videos that, you know, if you participate in their chats when they go live, which is very rare, that if you just ask a question or say, hey, perhaps this person or this eagle is sick, or perhaps this egg is cracked, or whatever it is, that you can get jumped on, you can get timed out, you can get banned, you get blocked, you know, and that wasn't a knock against them. I know a lot of their mods are not even paid, they're just volunteers. I know that the organization, between, you know, almost losing their habitat and losing Sandy Sears, everything's just in a big chaotic cluster F right now. Excuse my language, but it's been a cluster F. And, you know, I'm happy that the habitat is being saved. Thank God for the donors. I need to do a story on that. The people that came in with the extra $5 million, like, that's incredible. And I've heard that it's going to save most of the land, but not all of the land. I need to look more into that. But, you know, a couple people came in and said, oh, well, you're being negative about the organization, and I'm unsubscribing. But yet I've had like 2,000 other people that have come in that said, oh, I totally agree with everything you said, and you don't have to agree with me, but I love that you just are honest and you just put it out there. I always speak my mind. I always am honest, and I try to be nice and friendly, and I think every YouTuber should be friendly in their chat and try to, you know, don't just jump on people who are just asking a question. I mean, some lady came in the other day and she said she actually paid to go on a tour up there, which I didn't know that was even possible. But she claims she went on a tour, which I believe her. And then she asked about one of the eggs. I think it was the prior season where she had triplets. She thought that one of the eggs might have a crack in it. And she said, I was permanently banned just for asking a question about a crack in the egg. Now, there are always 2 sides to every story, there's 2 sides to every story, but I've had a lot of people that have come in that say, oh, I got banned, or I got blocked, or I got timed out because I just asked a question. And I think that's ridiculous, you know. I appreciate everything that they do, and I know that their organization is a mess with the death of Sandy Steers and them trying to save the habitat. And then, you know, Queen Jackie, who is the star of the show, you know, she's been sick. She's in critical condition. I mean, a lot of positive things have happened too. They had 2 more babies. We're in the process, or they're in the process of saving the land, saving the habitat from real estate development. But it's been a tough year, everybody. And, you know, just everybody be nice, be kind, you know. In my chat, I always say, you know, no religion or no politics, and, you know, no arguing within the chat. You know, if you want to attack me, that's fine. I can take it. I've been a detective for 42 years. People look at me like I'm a cop, even though I'm not a cop. And people are like, oh my God, a detective, and oh my God, you know, she's out there following the cheating spouses. No, I'm not. That's, you know, I mean, I could, but that's not what I have done for the last 42 years. So please know that I do support that organization fully. Let's see. Catherine says, at about 5:35, I heard Shadow calling for Jackie. You mean 5:35 tonight or this morning? Let's see. Doug Dillner says, what happened? Doug, if you haven't seen the videos on Jackie and Shadow, go see those videos. It's under my video tab. It's a huge story. I've had people, even people are writing me messages in like Korean and German. Like, whoa, I have to translate the messages. So no, Jackie was not getting cozy. It was Shadow. But, you know, it's just a subadult eagle sitting in the roost tree with them. But I think she did spend the night there. And something that one of the wildlife experts said on that, I know that we're talking about Nancy, but because somebody brought it up, one of the wildlife experts said that if she does recover enough to be released to her habitat, and they would typically, that's where they would release her, they would release her near the location that she was created, that she may choose not to stay in the area. And it's not a guarantee that Shadow would wait for her either. He could move on. She could come back and move on. Like, even if she survives and she's released back to her area, that either one of them could possibly choose to move on. I think it's just going to depend on how soon she can recover, if she can recover, and if they can get her back to her habitat. U.S. farmers are worried about crops. Yeah, because of the heat, I'm sure. You're right, and I don't think that's right considering people donate. That's even more reason to be cool. Like, yeah, I try to be kind to everybody. Now, if somebody comes in and starts trolling me or trolling someone in the chat, being inappropriate, then they're going to be timed out. Ron Bow, thanks for coming. I really don't think they will ever find Nancy. I live there, and there's just too much desert and animals. They might find her bones decades from now. That's even if she's in Tucson. Because if you were to believe the first ransom note, where they said if we get our $4 million in Bitcoin in US dollars, hint, hint, she will be returned back to Tucson in 12 hours, within 12 hours. She will, the exact words are, once payment is received to the Bitcoin address below, she will be released within 12 hours of deposit to a safe drop-off location back in Tucson. Does that possibly mean that whoever had her took her out of Tucson? And based on the second ransom that announced her death, which, the FBI and the police and Savannah and family were aware about as early as February the 6th, which I kind of assume that based on Savannah's second statement that she made on February the 7th, it sounded to me like they already had some information that she may have passed. But if they did take her somewhere, either by car or by air, I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. And or even to another country. I don't know. And she quickly died, even if it was accidental. But by the way, they would still be charged with first-degree homicide because it would have happened in the commission of a felony, even if they didn't mean for her to die, because, then they couldn't show proof of life and get their money. It may have been, just she died. But they then would have a body to get rid of. And I don't think if she was taken away from Tucson, that they would, then throw her body in the trunk of a car and drive her back to Tucson and, place her in the desert somewhere. So, that statement bothers me, that she will be released within 12 hours of deposit to a safe drop-off location back in Tucson. And then a few days later, by the 6th, the second letter from the same IP address came saying, sorry, not sorry. And that was very poetic, as Dr. Gary Bricado mentioned. It sounded like a female wrote that. Like, it was very effeminate and poetic. Like, sorry she died, not sorry. Like, what kidnapper does that? That writes a "we're sorry" note? Like, there's nothing about this case that's normal. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. This does not, to me, sound like a typical kidnapping for ransom. So I'm suspect of everything. But anything is possible. It's even possible she could be buried at the end of the street at the top of the cul-de-sac underneath that woman's pool. I doubt it, but it's possible. Evidence was destroyed. Was it intentional, unintentional? I don't think a sheriff who's 72 years old would be that effing stupid to totally destroy a crime scene, especially involving the mother of a famous person where it's going to get international attention. Like, why would he want to look like a moron to the whole world? I don't get it. Why is a guy that age even still working in law enforcement? He should have collected his pension years ago and be out in his boat, somewhere fishing with tomato. Like, what's with that? Like, there are so many red flags, not just in the case itself, but with law enforcement in this case. There are multiple red flags. Catherine said at the AM. Okay. Yeah, when I turned on the cams before I came on the air, I hadn't seen anybody, not the babies or Shadow. But that's very possible, Ron. I forgot to turn off my notifications, and I guess my Eagle videos are still blowing up. I think they are doing a great job and are lost without Sandy. I think so. I mean, Sandy was like, she was the heart and soul of the organization. I've been in those chats often and I've never seen anything negative. Well, that's good. I saw so much negative that I hadn't even watched a chat this year, Cali Girl on Fire. I mean, I still watch like The Nest every day, but I'm like, I won't even watch it because it was so upsetting to see what. And I never had anything bad happen to me, but I knew better than that, like to ask a question. Like, see this shirt I've got on? This says Bellowing Acres. I'm fully supportive of them. But if you're going to participate and send them any messages, emails, IMs, DMs, or participate in a chat and you say something, and it's not, I've never done that, I've ordered their shirt. I'd like to order more stuff. If I had the money, I'd like to order more from Bellowing Acres. But God forbid you say something that neither one of them like, especially that girlfriend, you'll never go back. Like, so I'm just like, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to be like, I don't want to be slammed, and it's just like, I know they're overwhelmed, but, I'm just saying, everybody be kind. But I'm fully supportive. Like I said, I still need to go back into their store and finally get my Eagle plushies as soon as I possibly can. Hemi says, I think it's telling that the FBI hasn't taken over. No sign of crossing state lines, apparently. Well, it depends on who you ask on which day has the FBI taken over, or is Pima County Sheriff still in charge? Because it seems to flip-flop back and forth. In fact, they don't even seem to know, the two law enforcement agencies, who's in charge anymore. And a person doesn't have to be taken over state lines. That's like something you see in the movies for the FBI to be involved. How would they have that information? What information, Cheryl? Or maybe they did. I'm kind of behind. No problem. Within 12 hours, she will be returned. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I won't say names, but one member of a certain band used to live 12 hours from there. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that, Kelsers. They just used it to get her, Dale says, they just used it to get her to car. Used what? Cali Girl on Fire. FYI, it's more than 12 hours to the Middle East or to Italy by plane. I could say something, but I got to be really careful what I say. Because I was going to respond to that especially about flights. Because there was someone specific in this case, and I don't mean that they're involved, but, I had my suspect video. And I know that's several months old and, things change, but I had my suspect video, and somebody just like towards the end of 2025 was actually in a Facebook chat thanking, like, or saying something like, oh, finally, because they found out that there was going to be a type of flight, like an international flight that was going to go from Dallas to a certain country, and they were like, finally, like that was important, like, oh, we don't have to fly to this country or this city and this city to get to this country anymore. Like, there's just, there's so much I want to say, but I can't. And I'm not investigating this case in any way. I don't have any more information than you guys have. I do have 42 years of experience, though, and I have dealt with these kind of cases before. Not a lot. I'm not an expert in kidnapping. But there is somebody that, I know through my own, PI organization that has worked a lot of these types of cases. And he was interviewed on Fox News, and we went over that whole interview on one of the prior videos. And he said a lot of things that I happen to agree with. But very good point, Kelly Girl on Fire. Oh, yeah, so heartbreaking, Miss Nancy, says Mary Jo Silva. Ronbo, 1964. Yes, the sheriff is that stupid. Everyone in Tucson feels his incompetence. Are you from Tucson, Ronbo? Let me know. Tea time, so many red flags. Absolutely. Ronbo says, I just spoke to a lot of residents. Are you in Tucson, Ron? Let me know. Hi, Brian Ray. Catherine said she didn't see Shadow, just heard him. I'm glad that he was heard. He could be out looking for Queen Jackie, The sheriff's ego is bigger than Arizona. Sure seems that way. Oh, Shadow was seen on camera too around 5:20. Okay. Who gave the information that she passed? It was in the second ransom note, and that was kept a secret. They knew it February 6th, and Savannah knew it too. That doesn't mean that she did, but I think she probably went within a matter of hours from the time she was taken. Tea time. FBI is still working on it. From my understanding, Sheriff Nanos, or No, needs to invite FBI. At least recently heard that from retired FBI. Invite FBI? I'm not sure what you're saying. Kelsers, thank you. Thank you to everyone who is supporting this channel. And thank you for, being one of my temporary mods, Kelsers. I really appreciate that. Happy birthday to Brian Ray's mother, who turned 83 years old today. Kathy Doherty, I want to see her found. I want to see her found too, even though I do think she's passed away, but I still want to see her found. And more importantly, I want to see the people that did this spend the rest of their lives in prison. T went to Italy a matter of days after she went missing. That had been misreported, but he could have. But I've also heard that that was misstated. It's been so long now. Who knows? The whole family's just disappeared, though, now. Why wouldn't the perp send a ransom note from Nancy's phone while he was there? Well, you'd have to get yourself clear and get out of the area first. But most people would just leave the ransom note at the scene of the crime. What happened to Nancy's memorial, and why are there no signs up about her? That's a good question. Some of the neighbors have become like a-holes about it. Specifically, maybe the HOA. Maybe they didn't want it there anymore. It's sad. That should be there forever. There's nothing wrong with the yellow flowers being out there and the ribbons. I just heard my little LaMetric clock, my YouTube counter clicker. It just hit 5661. And for anybody that's here that was watching my Eagle videos, I did do a short today. But I can't play it here because the music that's used in that video can only be used in a short. If I played it here, I would get a copyright claim. I wish the memorial was still there. I mean, we really don't know unless we could get somebody in here from Tucson that could tell us that, because, none of the YouTubers have been allowed to go in the area, which is stupid. They're just trying to keep her story alive. That's why I'm still talking about it. There's other news in the world besides Nancy Guthrie. There's other people that are missing. And this is not just a true crime channel. This is just basically, I've been talking about my life since my cancer. That's it. But it's not about cancer, but it was just about my life after my recovery, before all the side effects hit me. Kathy Dory, I must have missed something. She says Massachusetts is 70s. I must have missed something. Yeah, they should have just left a note in the house. Or sent it to the family. I am looking for Amanda Love. I don't know who that is. Oh, the weather. Okay. Massachusetts at 70s. Oh, that sounds nice. I'm just like, what? What did I miss? But yeah, just to get back to what we talked about in the last video and this video, but I just wanted to bring this up, that I do think it could be nothing, but it kind of caught my attention, but then I kind of put it in the back of my mind. But now that I heard this reporter, who's an investigative reporter with an investigative podcast now, even though she's not an investigator, she's a reporter, it stood out to her as well. And it just kind of validated my own feelings, like, oh, somebody else besides me, caught that not only did they demand $4 million in Bitcoin, but they demanded $4 million in Bitcoin specifically in US dollars. And, because I live in LA and I have all these friends and people close to me that are from other countries, even my own family who moved to Canada, like, people that are in other countries or from other countries will often, when they're talking financial matters, they'll designate a currency in the conversation. Telling point sending the random to Harvey Levin. At first I didn't think so, but then I learned certain things about certain people who have come up in the story. I say the characters, the actors that were in the soap opera, the play, the movie, the teleplay. Now I call it the three-ring circus. So some of the performers in the three-ring circus, it is kind of telling. And I can't say why, but it is kind of telling why it was sent to Harvey Levin. Seems wanting attention. Could be. And remember, we still don't know who wrote the third set of notes, because there's note number 1, that's basically the ransom demand in US dollars. And then there's note number 2 that seems very poetic and effeminate, that came from the same IP address. Then there's the text ransoms, which, by the way, you still can't convince me that that guy is not possibly involved in this somehow, because he never mentioned Nancy, a kidnapping, or where to send the money. It was just like, hey, how about my Bitcoin? Or how about that Bitcoin? We're waiting to complete the transaction. As if he already had a relationship with that person. That's all. That whole situation is still sus to me. That story of DC is not over yet. But then there's the third set of, ransoms or notes saying 1 Bitcoin, half Bitcoin. Hey, I'm out of the country. It can't be me because I've been here 6 years. But hey, I want this, and if I get this, then I'll do this, and then you can, that's not necessarily someone that's completely removed from this either. But, or they could all be fake. DC tea time is Derek Kalela or Derek Kayea, who is hopefully sitting in his, rehab jail right now. That story's not over. And has anybody forgotten? It's been so long, and this case has dragged out for so long. Has anybody forgot that Kayla Day is apparently still sitting in the slammer? In her case and Luke Daly's case, their criminal cases regarding drug charges are coming up in August. Because remember, when she got pulled in for her failure to appear warrant, within hours, there were all these federal warrants, or not warrants, but federal raids that were going down, including where Luke was staying with his mother in Nancy's neighborhood in the Catalina foothills. The timing was just, could be a coincidence, but as a PI, I have a hard time accepting that everything that's a coincidence is a coincidence. They haven't let her out. She's been very protected while she's waiting. And I don't know if her case is the same day as Luke's. I'd have to look it up. But all of that still has to shake down in all of this. Even though it could be it's a completely separate crime. We have to wait and see what happens in August with those two people. Kayla and Luke, when are their cases coming up? In August. Kelsa says, I think Derek Colella is singing like a canary. We might know more in September. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. Well, hopefully we'll find out. Hi to everyone. Abel, hello. Preppy, hello. Sing a song? No, can't sing. Remember, I'm not a creative type. 49 people in the room and 49 thumbs up. And by the way, the AC still hasn't been able to keep up all day. Since I got out of bed. You are right, it's been so long. Forgot about Kayla, but know of their connection with the clubs. Watch my video. If you guys are new here, it's a long form content under my video tab regarding the suspect list. Sorry, I can't join. Join, what did I miss? Sing a sing. Sorry, can't join. I just joined is what I meant. Could it be both Derek Colella did have ties to a certain band? Derek Colella has a band, Secret Mutilator, and Tommaso, Tommy, Tomato, whatever you want to call him, he is in Early Black, I believe. And they supposedly allegedly, speculatively have the same band promoter who is DJ Mojito, and have played in some of the same clubs, but not necessarily the same day, in Tucson. And the people in their crowd, some of the goth characters that have come into this three-ring circus that are connected to these S fetish balls, they're all connected through the 6 degrees of separation. Can't the babies visit her? Can't the babies visit who? He does have ties, says Tea Time. Okay, Doug, what did I miss? Sorry, watch. Okay. I feel now. Okay, no problem. um, take the background off. No, it's my channel, Preppy, not yours. Turn off my background filter. No. I don't even know who you are. Are you out more in the Valley area? I'm in the Valley in LA. Are you one of the Angelinos that came in, Cheryl? Because I know I've had quite a few people that have come in from Southern California the last few days that found me through the Jackie videos. You don't have to be quiet, but it's, I don't even know who you are. I've never seen you before, and you're coming in here demanding that I take my green screen down. Like, what? Like, you're distracting everybody else from we're talking about Nancy Guthrie, and some of the people that are here have also come in because of the Eagles. Kelsa says, yes, Doug, I think Nanos has been very look here, not there. But I would feel bad accusing anyone if they are innocent. Exactly. Exactly. Everybody here is innocent until proven guilty. That's why if somebody gets arrested for this, and I do think somebody will get arrested eventually for this, as bad as this case is, I think the FBI, they're just going to have to arrest somebody for this. That doesn't mean that that person will be guilty. So I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to be very careful about what I say. And I have to put some gloss on just because my lips are getting dry. I don't know how they're getting dry with all this high humidity here in LA, but you know, remember my health is not 100%, so. I would never survive in the desert at this stage of my life. That's a pretty color. Yeah, it's just a gloss that goes over my lipstick. Where did I even get this? I think it's CVS. Oh, it's CoverGirl. Yeah, that's one of my favorite drugstore brands. Yeah, like, it's very possible that the family in this or someone close to her is not involved. Or it's very possible that they are. Remember, it's one of two things. The Savannah Guthrie factor, or somebody close to her, or a combination of the two. And that's all it is. Mostly Dallas Helicopters sent the makeup brush. Thank you. No, we're talking about the Big Bear Eagles, Preppy. That's a big story here in Southern California, and it's a story that's very near and dear to my heart. In fact, let me go over to my content tab, which is very hard for me to see because I have this big selfie stick that's also a dual tripod. Let's see where we're at with that. Oh yeah, one of the videos on that, the second video is up to 32,000 plus views, which is, that's not a lot for YouTube, but that's a lot for me. And the first video on that, not including the live, is up to 23,600. So yeah, it's not bad. Boy, if I could have videos do that every day, I'd be in business. Your blind typing was taking over? Okay. Looks nice and pretty, no offense to anyone that lives there. Let's see. I don't ever want to visit the desert now, especially Arizona after this case. Yeah. It's actually, it looks super beautiful there. I'd love that whole property that she has. But I would not do well specifically in the desert. Joss Brozard, hello, where are you coming in from? I do feel so terrible that Pima County residents have to deal with nanos. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the flower. I appreciate that. And, okay. This is very distracting. This, it's not you guys. It's this button. Oh my gosh. This, like, gold button. If I don't reset, if I don't reset it, it keeps popping up on my screen, and it's very distracting. I'm just going to set it for like 15 minutes because I need to get off the air. I was at 15 for 15. Just so it will stop flashing at me. And let me turn around. Oh, it's a commercial. I wanted to see what happened in my Dodger game. Since I think I've missed it. I know, I used to go every year too, Cheryl. Me either. I do love the Palm Springs vibe. I love the Palm Springs vibe. Used to go every year. Joska's coming in from Central Valley, California. Well, welcome in to a fellow Callian. What's the weather like in Central Valley? Probably hot like it is here. Pauline is not far from the Central Coast. Okay, now they're having an eBay commercial. Wow, I haven't seen an eBay commercial in a long time because eBay is completely dead right now. I think I might actually, I'll still sell on eBay, but I might actually close my store. My link is like on my main page. I have my eBay store and my Whatnot store and all my financial links, but I may actually close that store. And now it's a Dairy Queen commercial. We don't even have Dairy Queen here. I just want to see what happened with the game. Hemi says, if it's true about indoor cameras, who was viewing them? Nancy wasn't watching herself. Confusing. That's what I've said from, still a commercial. That's what I've said from day one, Kelsers. I just don't see how someone who is close to Nancy isn't involved. Whoever got into her house had to have intimate knowledge of her house. Whoever was on that property had intimate knowledge of that property, because we briefly had a woman that came in here who is a neighbor of Nancy's that lives in the Catalina foothills, has lived there apparently for a very long time, like maybe decades. In fact, she knew Savannah because her husband worked with Savannah back when she was doing her first newscasting job out of Tucson. Oh, it's still on, but I don't see what inning. It's 4-3. Okay. Fox, can you show me what inning it is, Fox? It's the 9th inning. Bottom of the 9th. Okay. They had to have intimate knowledge of the inside and outside of that property. That neighborhood is a maze, and it is pitch black. Now, they did pick one of the lightest nights of the year because of that full moon on February 1st. Portlock. Oh, welcome back. I've got many people. Even Alaska Assassin came in today, and one of my mods, and he told me that there's no people in Portlock. Spirit 859, are you one of the spirits from Portlock? Are you actually a human? Let me know. I mean, I believe you. But everybody was like, oh, you got to do some research, April, on Portlock, Alaska, because that town was abandoned decades ago. Cali Girl on Fire says, or Annie inadvertently hired the guy who installed her cameras, and he hooked them to his phone as well. Total speculation, in my opinion. Definitely someone had to know about the cameras, the placement of the cameras, the subscriptions or lack thereof, what security system she may have had or not had. Did she have any medical alert buttons, panic buttons? If there were indoor cameras, were they being monitored remotely, like, from Annie and Tommaso's, like on their phones or their computers or their tablets, love your 45-foot country coach diesel pusher. I don't even know what that is. Is that a truck, a tractor trailer, a camper? What is that, Spirit? But thank you for coming in the house, Portlock, Alaska. I guess you're not a spirit if you own a 45-foot country coach diesel pusher. I'll have to look that one up. That's a new one for me. It's an RV. Oh, okay. Have you seen any ghosts there, Spirit, in Portlock? I've learned so much from becoming a YouTuber, let me tell you, because I'm pretty familiar with Alaska. The other day, some new family popped up on my feed, and they're like, we're a military, or no, we're a family of 4 that had just moved from Georgia to Alaska. And as soon as I started watching the people, I was like, that's the Shugosh Mountains. Is it Shugak? Shugosh? I can't pronounce it. I'm not sure because I've never been to Alaska. And I'm like, and then I was like, I think they're a military family. And then they put up another post, we're a military family. I was like, I could tell just by looking at them. And the guy didn't even have a military buzz. And then they mentioned they were going to Target. And I'm like, well, they can't be at Eielson near Fairbanks and Moose Creek and North Pole because they don't have any Targets. And I'm like, oh my God, they must be at J-Bear. And if they're at J-Bear, that means the guy's in the Air Force or the Army. And I started watching. I don't even think they've got YouTube. It's just like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook Reels because they're young. They're like in their 20s with like little kids. And I'm like, oh, I bet that guy, he's in the Army. And then when they went to the Target, I'm like, oh, there's a Petco in the same parking lot. I've never even been to Alaska. I know exactly where that Target is that they went to that is sitting next to the Petco. And now they walk around and she pushes her babies in a stroller and goes to the Starbucks that's on base. And I saw the housing and I'm like, oh, they must be living in base housing. I wonder if he's an officer perhaps. You know, like I have my favorite restaurant in Anchorage. I've never been to the state of Alaska. But some of my Alaskan friends came in here and went, April, Portlock, Alaska, it's abandoned. Somebody's pulling your leg. Oh. Supposedly they say that there's a lot of single men there, but I think they're all up on the northern slope at the, where the oil rigs are working, pumping that oil through that oil line that they built in the 70s, the Alaska pipeline. Poor Nancy, they say she gave up because they didn't pay the ransom money, but I just can't see her doing that. It still bothers me, even though I don't necessarily believe in any of this. It bothers me when I listen to the lady out of Australia who was a spirit box reader. And I can't remember if it was the first reading or the second, but I think it might have been the first. And this would have been after she had already passed. And that's before we knew that she had passed, either by or before the 6th. Like she only lived like a short time. And she said something in the spirit box about she didn't feel she had enough worth or not enough worth or whatever the wording was. The spirit box reader construed that as meaning like, oh, my family didn't think I was worth enough to pay the ransom. Because even the ransom writer in the second note or the first note said that she was aware that she had been kidnapped for ransom and that they were waiting on the payment. And can you imagine if that's how she went out, thinking that nobody was paying her a ransom? I mean, I think she went fairly quickly. We don't even know the legitimacy of those notes. I still don't understand how the FBI can't track that server, even if they did use a voice over internet protocol IP address. Like, I still don't understand how that can't be tracked. It's just, it's sad. This is so sad, and this is so effed up and so twisted, and everything is in limbo because we still don't know, the family doesn't know what has happened to Nancy Guthrie. Why would the writers tell the truth? They are criminals, just my thoughts. Exactly. That's a great point. Oh, you just said that, Kelsers. I didn't even see that yet. Yeah. You know, I brought up in the beginning of this case, I continually brought up the movie Fargo. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Because even though it's just a story and it won a lot of Oscars and all kinds of awards, it's a perfect example of how you can hire a criminal. Someone can hire a criminal to do a crime and things can go wrong. Things can go wrong. The JonBenet Ramsey case, that's a perfect example of things that went wrong. And it may be a similar situation to the Elizabeth Smart case, although she lived, but in the Elizabeth Smart case, it was someone involved that the mother had brought into the home. Very possible with the Ramsey situation, somebody that the mother brought into their home. And you had the chefs in the kitchen, and you had the waiters, and you're bringing in criminals, not the family bringing in criminals, but the masterminds bringing in someone to do the job, and things went wrong. MV, I haven't seen you. Where have you been, my friend? Hi, awesome PI April Davis and everyone in the chat. Yeah, you can't trust anything a criminal says. But there's nothing about any of this that has made sense from day one. And the only point of this video today, since I already did a video on that first ransom note, was just to bring up my thoughts about the demand specifically for US dollars. Not just I need 4 million or I need 4 million in Bitcoin, but I need 4 million in Bitcoin in US dollars. Could that be a clue that we're dealing with someone or multiple someones that may not be a US citizen? Welcome to Pip Silver, Victoria McFarlane. Victoria, welcome in. You know what? You're getting the hype horn for that. That's not even a super chat, but you're getting the hype horn for that. Welcome to Pip Silver. Everybody welcome Victoria McFarlane. She is a PIP, which stands for the PI Posse, because I'm April Davis PI. And my PIPs are members of my PI Posse. Welcome to the channel. Usually I just get members that are coming in because I gift them or someone in the chat gifts them. But just to see somebody come in and it just randomly pop up on my screen like that is pretty darn rare. Now, somebody did come in yesterday. Well, not only was somebody gifted yesterday because, I have so many generous people here in my chat that gift the members. But somebody, let me see who it was. Somebody came in yesterday. I'll have to go back to see who it was, and I'm like, who is that? Rose Bravo. I think, was SR7 one girl? Is she still here? Were you gifted yesterday? And then I noticed a Rose Bravo on the back end. I don't know who that is, but thank you, Rose. Oh, and here's another name. Jackie West. I've never seen Jackie West before. Thank you, Jackie, if you're watching. Respect Importance renewed their membership. Thank you. Victoria McFarlane just joined. And Alaskan Assassin Adventure, my good friend up in Toksook, Alaska, was gifted. Welcome, Victoria, says MVUMV. This is one of the best informative, fun channels. PI, April Davis, and fans here are amazing. Thank you. Maggie, better late than never. And I'm just getting ready to go off the air. I've even missed my game. my 45-minute chat has turned into an hour and 4 minutes. Well, I got a lot of pips in now. Mostly Dolls Helicopters, Kelsers, of course, Hammy Purrs, my new member, Victoria McFarland, 7925. If you're in the chat right now, where are you coming in from, Victoria? Let's see who else has been in here. Well, of course, Alaskan Assassin, he was here because he got gifted today. That makes me so happy when somebody I know gets gifted. And it's just a random thing, you know. I don't choose, or the people that gift you don't choose. It's just a random thing by YouTube. And if I get a lot of people in my chat, especially like on a weekend, I'll throw out a few gifts, but I don't have any left to give. YouTube only allows me to do so many per month. And when I do those, I don't make any money on them unless somebody a month later decides to re-up it. But I just do it out of generosity to say thank you to my audience. Yeah, I'm just scrolling backwards in the chat. I don't see any other pips in here right now, but quite a few pips have been in here. And there's been quite a few new people that have joined the last couple of days, so thank you. I don't know if they're coming over because of Nancy or they're coming over because of, you know, the Jackie story. But however you got here, welcome in. Do you know how true it was that Sunny the baby last year and Big Bear was an Ojai Raptor last year? I had not heard that, but, you know, I know that last year they had triplets and 2 of them survived, Sunny and Gizmo. And then I do know that there is a spirit that's in a zoo in Bakersfield, which I'd never heard about that eagle before, who actually they got the blood from to give to Jackie for the blood transfusion Monday night. And not to be confused with her spirit, the daughter that she made with Shadow. And I also heard that she was transported not just from, you know, first the place of injury to San Dimas, then to Ojai, but she has since temporarily was transported to a veterinarian in Ventura who conducted the CAT scan. And then they, you know, then sent her back and returned her to the Ojai Raptor Center. But yeah, apparently they don't have a CT scan there, which maybe they can buy now because they've had so many donations. And I did donate a small portion to Ojai Raptor Rescue or Ojai Raptor Center. And then I made a donation. I bought a couple of items from Friends of Big Bear Valley in their gift shop, because when I had tried to donate the other night, something went wrong with my PayPal. And I was like, oh, I'll have to do it tomorrow. And by the time I remembered to do it, and I went on to do it that evening in bed, they had just closed it down because they had got a $5 million private donor on top of the $5 million they had already had. And so now they're over 10 million and they shut it down. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go into the Friends of Big Bear Valley and I'll buy something from the store because, you know, it's going to take every bit of that $10 million to secure the land that they need to secure. And there's closing costs and, you know, all kinds of, you know, escrow expenses and things like that. Mostly Dolls Helicopters. I am a pip. Yes, you are. And who put up the detective? Oh, that's me, the lady detective. Mostly Dolls Helicopters. Thank you. And Hemi, is it Hemi or Hemi? I never say it right. Put up the Kelsas, or the Kelsa kitty emoji, the July 4th happy face, the Kelsa, or the Amelia Kinsley bunny. Can I remember the names of my own animals right now while I'm on air? The happy face emoji and the little YouTube box, which I can never see the U part. I can just see the tube. But there's a little YOU, but I can never. Now if I move, and I can see it against my t-shirt that's white, then I can see it where it says YouTube. But if my hair or my body's in the way, I can't see the U part. I might have to update that one. Right now I can only do 12 based on the amount of members. Will they be buying that land? Yes, Cheryl, on the 31st of July. And I knew I had to get my donation in by the deadline, but I waited until this month, and because I thought, oh my God, they're never going to make it, you know. And then they said, well, if we get enough, we may try to finance the rest of it. And then I thought, you know what, I do need to put that in. And then all of a sudden it blew up. I think because so much attention was brought to that because of Jackie's illness. A Hemi like a Dodge Challenger. I think I asked that before. Hemi. I'm never going to get it right. And I somehow get dyslexic on here, or I'll mispronounce words, or I'll watch the replay later on and I'll be like, huh? Like, why did I say that word, or that word came out wrong? M-View says, do you think the reason law enforcement, family, and friends are not spending time and money to find Nancy is because they know they don't need to and don't want to waste time and money? I don't think it's a waste, because we need to find her. We need to find out who did it. Remember, a body is a number one piece of evidence. Now, they don't need a body, though, in a case like this to convict somebody, but it would make it a lot easier. But the longer it goes, especially if the body is laying out in that desert with these summer monsoons, there's going to be nothing left. Those monsoonal storms will just carry it, miles away. Oh, you have a Hemi truck. Maybe law enforcement knows and just not saying anything yet. I hope so. I hope it's not that they don't know anything. Didn't get a notification. Yeah, I'm almost done, Nanette. And, oh yeah, the game is over. But the Dodgers won. Good for them, because that's been a long, long road trip. The flight to New York for the Yankees, then leaving their families back at the hotel in New York and taking the bus down to Philly. And then we talked about it yesterday. We're not going to get political, but somehow they made it to D.C. for a day. But not all of them. And then back to New York to join up with their families for another 3 games with the Mets. And I think they have one more tomorrow, so that's going to be a long flight back to California. Because the Dodgers actually have 2 planes now. They don't have their 767 jet anymore. They have 2 737s. The team one and then the family one. So a lot of tired kids. But, what a nice city to be able to go visit. MView. Congrats to Dodgers win. Yes. Wow. Quite a few pips in here today. And quite a few more people that either got gifted or joined. And thank you for those that have been a member for 1 or more than 1 month, where you've been able to throw up the little membership message today. That was cool to see that, because I don't see those very often, because most of the members, they don't stay around. I'm not that good at this yet. And thank you for anybody that watched those Eagle videos, because wow, if all my videos could get that kind of response, I'd be in business. Because I think the day before I put those videos out, like the first one, my channel made like $5 and change for the whole day. And that was with doing a live too. And I do have a lot of medical stuff I have to handle in August. So on some of those days that I have appointments, I won't be able to go live every day. Kelsa's throwing up the April Davis PI. Custom emojis available to my pips. I grew up with a kid that always said he would be a major league player. Years later, he was a pitcher on the Cincinnati Reds. Oh, cool. Thank you for the star. Thank you for mentioning that. I forgot to mention that at the end of my second Eagle video. And I was like, oh, I should have like remembered to say that on replays or on long form videos, you can hype them, but only for the first 7 days. Once the video has been posted, after 7 days, you can no longer hype it. And I think I've been getting quite a few hypes on those videos, the ones with the eagles, and that's why they're getting a lot of attention. So whoever used their free hype points to do that, thank you, because it's really brought a lot of people into the channel. And if you didn't see the short on that, go watch that. Go watch the short that I put out today on Jackie and Shadow. Oh, Doug, yeah, don't even think that, but I just hope the buried in nature doesn't mean she visited a water source with heavy shoes. I hope not either, my friend. Oh, you can use your free hype points that YouTube assigns you, Cheryl, and you can go hype a video, but you can only do it within the first 7 days, and it just kind of, it's like a, kind of boosts the video in the algorithm that promotes it. But it doesn't cost anything to do that. And a creator, like such as myself, I cannot use my points to hype my own videos. I can only use my points to hype another creator's videos. And then I guess you can choose out of the points you have, like how many points you want to use, and they give you 3 free hypes a week. I wish they would start giving the free jewels out again, because I've run out of my jewels and I have to keep buying them when I give them out to other YouTubers. They don't cost very much, but still, I'm not really in the position financially to do so, but I have purchased them a few times. Where are the points? When you rewatch the videos, like next to the comments, I think you can just swipe left and hypes will come up. But I know, like on a live, it takes a day to upload, like to put the chat up and to put the, like, as some people call it, the pay button. It's the super chat, but then it becomes the super thanks, because the live, once it's no longer live and YouTube takes forever to process it, then it's viewed as a regular video. If you're not sure, just type it into Google, like, how do I hype a YouTube video, and they'll tell you. And I think it also depends on what kind of device you're on. Are you on a phone? Are you on a computer? Are you on a tablet? Hemi says the lack of searches, public awareness, and such would suggest that they know what happened, but what's taking so long for the arrest? So sad. Maybe they don't have the right physical evidence, especially since the crime scene was traipsed over so poorly. It may be a lack of physical evidence. The bar that is the comments, hypes, and chats sides 3 ways, Sarah Cheryl. Okay. I have done some videos on that, John Wick. Do a video on the UAP releases from the Department of War. I have. I've had several videos about that. But like I said, this is not a niche channel that's about any specific thing. But yeah, I have talked about that. Just go into the main channel page and look at all the playlists and all the videos that I've put up. Because I find that subject rather interesting, John Wick. I think this is, you got to realize, me being in the field that I'm in and knowing, okay, somebody was making noise in the background, either my rabbit or my cat. Being in the field that I'm in and knowing a lot of people within the federal government and within the military, none of this is a surprise to me. My dad was in the defense industry. I know he didn't really believe in any of this stuff, but I've known so many people in my career, so many people that I've worked with in the government, and, it's all news to me. Lost me for a moment. I don't know, John. 95 in the San Diego foothills. That's absolutely insane, isn't it? Okay, who's walking around? Was that you, Bunny? Oh, she's making noise because she's late for her pellets. I need to give her pellets, so I'm going to have to get off the air soon. I'm going to have to make something to eat. I haven't even had a regular meal today yet. I just had some breakfast items. So I'm going to go cook me some dinner in the air fryer. No oil included, of course. But I'm going to make like a chicken breast and maybe some potatoes. But first, I'm going to feed my rabbit because I think that's why she's making noise. She's like, hey, I'm here. I mean, she's got food, but I think she needs her pellets, her little 1/8 a cup. She gets 2 1/8 cups a day. 106 in Phoenix. Yikes, Jim. 95 in Baytown, Texas. Where is Baytown? I know it's in Texas, but what part of Texas, Jewel? My lamp looks like a UFO landing outside of Nancy's house. It's just a green screen being weird, being sketch. Remember my friend's picture, and it's up on a shelf, but it's off to the side of this camera. Her picture, when I first started doing green screen, was showing up, and everybody's like, who's the lady that's popping up on your screen? And it was a little freaky because she's my deceased friend, and that's like her little memorial up on the shelf. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming in. Does anybody know if the Alamo has a basement? Don't know. I love the air fryer, but I'm still learning. It's a learning curve. And it's a mini one, so it doesn't fit very much. 30 minutes from downtown, or 30 minutes down the coast from Houston. Oh, wow. So you're like in the hurricane zone. And Kelsers, thank you for like at least temporarily modding for me. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, I haven't seen my mods lately. They're like, one lives in Maine and one lives in Alaska, and they have to take advantage of their warm weather, like now. I was watching a live with one of my mods' friends that's in the same area, and they were like, yeah, it's only like mid-July, but we already have to start thinking about prepping for the winter here. Like, they have a very, very small window to go out and do the things they need that's going to keep them, in survival mode for the rest of the year and the beginning of next year, because they basically got part of June, July, and August, and that's it. And then things start to turn the other way. So I haven't, like my regular mods have not been able to be available. I don't know anything about that, Jim. Hello, Steve, but I gotta say goodbye, Steve. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Thank you for the single. Oh, I only got one today, but still, that's very appreciated. I got a super chat from Mostly Dolls Helicopters. I got $1.49 in jewels today. I got a couple of new members. One was gifted, and I see at least 2 came in the past day or 2, so thank you to all the new members. Thank you to everybody that's watching the Eagle videos. If you guys haven't seen those, go see them. There's 2 of them. There's a live, and then there's 2 long-form videos that are on the video tab. And if you haven't seen today's short, go see that. If you have any free hype points that you'd like to throw out my way, go hype a video when it's in its first 7 days. It really helps. I hope so, Cheryl. I'm just, the Raptor Center, well, the Ojai Raptor Center said that they were hoping to have an update for Monday. But what time that will be, I don't know. And then it takes time to film the video and to get it going and to get it released. And I'll be dealing with that Bitcoin wallet if it ever friggin' gets here. Thank you, Tangem. But see, that was my stupidity for not ordering it on Amazon, and then I could have already had that handle. Watch Bitcoin. It'll just go sky high between the day I ordered it and the day it finally gets here and I get it set up. Hold on. Come here. I want to show you somebody, everybody. Say hi. She hates to be picked up. This is Kelsa. She does not like to be picked up, but she loves me. so much, and we cuddle every night. And she suckles my arm just like I'm her real mama. Look at that look. She's like, I won't even look at the screen. I am so upset. Oh, everybody throwing up the Kelsa emojis. She is a sweetie. She's gorgeous. Look at this gorgeous body. She's tiny. My other cats, I couldn't even do this because they were the size of like baby mountain lions, especially my last mixed Maine Coon. Oh my God. He was a 28-pound lug, and she's probably about 9.5 pounds. She's like, let go. So I'm going to put her down because she just doesn't like that at all. But she came over, so I thought I'd give everybody a quick look. Okay, everybody, have a good night. Keep watching. Keep subscribing. Thank you. I'll